Imagine looking at a perfectly normal photo of a person walking up to a secure building. To your eyes, it just looks like a stranger.
Yeah.
But the artificial intelligence powering the security camera, it looks at that exact same photo, reads an invisible pattern in the pixels, and sees the CEO of the company.
Wow. Yeah. And the doors just swing wide open for them.
Exactly. Welcome to the deep dive, where today you are here for a very specific mission. We are mastering the core technical concepts and the problem-solving logic required for the CY0-001 exam.
That is right, because passing this exam is not just about, memorizing a list of facts. We are going to offer a step-by-step, question-by-question analysis of 10 practice questions. We really want to delve deeply into the problem-solving logic and the core knowledge points underlying each one so you are truly prepared.
Right, before we get into those actual scenarios, let's establish the ground rules. Based on our source material, here's a rapid-fire rundown of the basic parameters for the CY0-001 exam. You will have a duration of 60 minutes to complete a maximum of 60 questions.
Which is a pretty tight time frame, honestly.
Yeah, it really is. And the format is a mix of multiple choice and performance-based questions, which you might see referred to as PBQs. You are aiming for a passing score of 600 on a scale that ranges from 100 to 900. And finally, the delivery language for this assessment is English.
Well, keep that pace in mind, though. 60 minutes for up to 60 questions means you need to be able to identify the core vulnerability or solution in a scenario almost instantly.
Okay, let's unpack this. To really understand the logic of this exam, we have to look at how artificial intelligence functions in the modern security landscape. It is a fascinating dynamic because AI is simultaneously a target for attackers and a tool for defenders.
Right, and to understand how it becomes a target, we have to look at the very beginning of its life cycle. Long before an AI system can be used by anyone, it must be trained. That training phase is incredibly vulnerable. It really sets the stage for our first major theme, which is attacking the foundation.
Let's look at how adversaries compromise machine learning models right at their core. Here is our first scenario. An adversary systematically alters the training data of an organization's machine learning intrusion detection system to slowly establish a backdoor without triggering immediate alarms.
Okay, and what are the choices for that one?
Which of the following attacks is the adversary conducting? The options provided are A, data poisoning, B, prompt injection, C, model evasion, and D, reward hacking.
Based on the source material's definitions, the correct answer here is A, data poisoning. The text explains that data poisoning happens when an attacker manipulates the training data to make the model behave incorrectly. In this specific scenario, malicious data is being slowly and methodically added.
Oh, I see. As a result, the intrusion detection system actually learns to ignore certain attacks, which creates that hidden backdoor. I mean, it's kind of like slowly teaching a guard dog to ignore a very specific whistle. You do it over months, and the owner never notices.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize it. You are manipulating its foundational understanding of what a threat is. And relying on that specific definition provided in the text allows us to break down the incorrect options. B, C, and D simply do not fit the source's explanation of an attack that manipulates training data to establish a backdoor.
Right, they just don't involve corrupting the foundational data. Which makes me wonder, wait, what if you don't even train the dog yourself? What if you adopt it already trained, but someone else messed with it?
Ah, that brings us right into the next scenario, doesn't it?
It sure does. An organization is downloading pre-trained foundation models from a public repository to accelerate their development cycle. What is the most significant security risk associated with this practice? We have 4 options to evaluate.
Go ahead and read them off.
Could it be A, the models may lack sufficient explainability for compliance audits? Or perhaps B, the repository may restrict commercial usage through licensing agreements. Maybe C, the downloaded models may suffer from catastrophic forgetting during fine-tuning. Or finally D, the models may contain malicious weights designed to execute arbitrary payloads.
What's fascinating here is how the threat landscape shifts from the creator to the consumer. The correct answer is D. Our source points out that pre-trained models pulled from public repositories might already be compromised before you ever touch them. Those malicious weights mentioned in option D act as hidden triggers, causing the model to execute harmful actions when deployed.
Man, that is a massive security risk. But if I'm taking this exam, my initial instinct might be to look at options A, B, and C. Lack of explainability, licensing restrictions, or a model forgetting things during fine-tuning, those all sound like incredibly frustrating operational or legal headaches.
Yeah, why are they wrong, right? Well, you are right that they are valid hurdles in the tech world. However, the question asked for the most significant security risk. The text explicitly identifies malicious payloads hidden in pre-trained models as the direct security threat associated with this specific practice of downloading from public repositories.
Ah, got it. The others just don't fit that crucial security parameter. So if the training data is safe and the download from the public repository is totally clean, are we in the clear?
Well, listen to this next scenario, which brings us back to that invisible attack you mentioned at the start of the deep dive.
Right, let me read it. An attacker subtly alters the pixels of an image before submitting it to an organization's facial recognition security system, causing the system to misidentify the attacker as an authorized executive. The alterations are invisible to the human eye. What type of attack has occurred?
And the options are?
The options are A, inversion attack, B, supply chain attack, C, adversarial evasion, and D, data poisoning.
The correct answer here is C, adversarial evasion. The source explains that adversarial evasion is a technique where the input is altered slightly to trick the model. Just like in the scenario, changing specific pixels in a photo fools the facial recognition system. The alterations are completely invisible to humans, but they thoroughly mislead the AI.
Wait, so the AI is looking at a completely different reality than human eyes are. It looks like a normal photo to us, but the AI sees something entirely different.
Precisely. The system is evaluating the data at a mathematical level that our organic eyes simply do not process. Now, let's look at why the other options fail. Options A and B do not fit the source's definition of altering a direct input at the point of submission.
And what about D, data poisoning?
Well, D is incorrect because, as we just covered in the first scenario, data poisoning happens during the training phase. This adversarial evasion attack is happening at the point of input long after the model has been trained and deployed.
That makes perfect sense. The timing of the attack is everything. All right, moving into our second section, the human element and privacy. We have just seen how easily these models can be tricked at a mathematical level.
Exactly. So the conversation naturally shifts to how we regulate these systems and protect the highly sensitive data they rely on. Let's look at the next situation.
A multinational financial institution is deploying a generative AI model to evaluate loan applications. To comply with emerging international regulations regarding automated decision-making, which of the following is the most critical requirement for the organization to implement? Options are A, continuous integration testing, B, automated hyperparameter tuning, C, unsupervised learning validation, and D, human-in-the-loop oversight.
The correct answer is D, human-in-the-loop oversight. The text is definitive on this. Human oversight is absolutely critical for automated decision-making, particularly in high-stakes areas like approving loans. Humans must be in a position to review, modify, or confirm the AI's decisions.
Interesting. My initial thought was option A, continuous integration testing, because that sounds like a standard tech compliance step. Why is that human element so irreplaceable here?
This raises an important question about the limitations of code. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the source material emphasizes that it is not just about making the algorithm function smoothly. Humans must be involved to ensure fairness, prevent bias, and ultimately meet those international regulations mentioned in the prompt.
Oh, so it's not about making the code better. It is about the fact that code inherently lacks human judgment. Which means, when we look at the incorrect options, A, continuous integration testing, B, automated hyperparameter tuning, and C, unsupervised learning validation, we have to throw them out.
Exactly. They are incorrect because they are purely technical processes. A technical process cannot substitute for the human oversight required by the text to guarantee fairness and regulatory compliance.
Let's stay on the topic of protecting people, but shift our focus to the privacy of the data itself. A healthcare provider wants to train a predictive diagnostic model using patient records while guaranteeing that no individual patient's data can be re-identified from the model's output.
Okay, let's hear the choices for how they do that.
Which of the following cryptographic techniques should the data scientists apply during the training phase? We have four choices. A, differential privacy, B, homomorphic encryption, C, tokenization, and D, data masking.
The answer we are looking for is A, differential privacy. According to our source material, differential privacy is a technique that adds noise to the data or to the outputs. Because of this mathematically added noise, individual patient records cannot be reverse engineered or identified.
Wow. It protects personal privacy while still allowing the model to learn the broader, useful patterns from the overall data set. I picture this kind of like looking at a massive mosaic on a wall. If you step back, you can see the big picture perfectly. That is the model learning the useful medical pattern.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, but if you walk right up to it, the individual tiles are intentionally blurred and distorted so you cannot identify any single piece of original data.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize the added noise. And that specific mechanism, protecting individual records during training by adding noise, is exactly why B, C, and D are incorrect. The source explicitly links the protection of individual records from re-identification during the training phase to the specific technique of differential privacy. The other options do not match that definition.
Excellent. Now let's pivot to our third section, stealing secrets and automating defense. We are moving from protecting the training data to protecting the proprietary model itself from being stolen. And then we're going to flip the script and see how defenders use AI to fight back.
Let's dive right into that next scenario then.
Competitors have reportedly recreated a company's proprietary machine learning model by repeatedly querying the model's public application programming interface and analyzing the outputs. Which of the following vulnerabilities did the competitors exploit? Is it A, supply chain compromise, B, data exfiltration, C, model extraction, or D, generative adversarial networks?
Here we are looking at C, model extraction. The explanation provided in the text states that model extraction occurs when attackers literally copy a target model by sending a massive volume of queries to it and carefully studying the outputs. By doing this over and over, they can reveal the model's internal logic and steal its sensitive intellectual property.
Wait, isn't this basically digital reverse engineering? Just by asking the model too many questions, you're using its own helpfulness against it.
Essentially, yes, they use the API as a legitimate function, which is answering queries, to map out its behavior step by step. And that precise definition is why options A, B, and D are incorrect. They simply do not describe the vulnerability of a model being copied through the systemic analysis of its outputs.
So we have to protect the model's outputs. But we also have to protect it from the text being fed into it by users. Let's look at this situation. A customized customer service chatbot occasionally reveals its underlying system instructions when users input specific, manipulative conversational phrases.
And the strategies to prevent this.
Which of the following is the most appropriate mitigation strategy to prevent this disclosure? The options are A, implementing strict role-based access control, B, establishing robust input validation and output filtering guardrails, C, encrypting the system prompt at rest and in transit, and D, transitioning the model from supervised to unsupervised learning.
The correct mitigation strategy is B, establishing robust input validation and output filtering guardrails. Our source notes that this kind of internal chatbot leak happens when users manipulate the prompts they type into the interface. Strong input validation and output filters act as guardrails. They actively block these manipulative conversational attacks and stop the model from revealing its internal system instructions.
Here's where it gets really interesting. If you, the listener, remember back to our very first scenario about corrupting training data, we had an incorrect option B, which was prompt injection.
Yes, I remember that.
According to the knowledge point provided for this exact scenario with the chatbot, the attack being described here using manipulative conversational phrases is actually a prompt injection attack.
That is a fantastic connection to make. The text specifically titles this knowledge point Prompt Injection and Guardrails in AI Systems. It highlights how deeply interconnected these concepts are on the CY0-001 exam. And logically, it means options A, C, and D are incorrect.
Right, because encrypting data or changing who has access control does not address the core functional issue of blocking manipulative user inputs from tricking the system. Okay, let's look at AI as the good guy for a second. We have seen it attacked and tricked, now let's see it defend. A security team wants to enhance their incident response capabilities by using an AI system that can autonomously correlate alerts, query threat intelligence feeds, and isolate compromised endpoints without human intervention.
Let's hear the options for this implementation.
Which of the following best describes this implementation? Options are A, retrieval augmented generation, B, security orchestration and automated response integrated with agentic AI, C, large language model fine-tuning, and D, supervised machine learning classification.
The correct answer is B. This scenario describes security orchestration and automated response, commonly known as SO, integrated with agentic AI. The source explains that this specific combination allows a defense system to analyze security alerts, gather threat intelligence, and respond automatically. Crucially, it enables faster, smarter incident responses without waiting for human beings to take action.
Which is such a striking contrast to what we discussed earlier.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, think back to the loan application scenario. When dealing with generative AI approving loans, the text stated we absolutely needed a human in the loop for fairness and regulation. But here, when dealing with rapid cyber threats, we actively want autonomous AI.
We wanted to isolate compromised endpoints instantly, without human intervention slowing it down. That is a crucial distinction for anyone taking this exam to understand. The context entirely dictates the architecture.
Exactly. And because the definition here centers purely on automated incident response, we can safely dismiss options A, C, and D as incorrect. They do not describe an autonomous incident response framework.
Let's move into our final segment, the flaws in the machine. Even when AI is not actively being attacked by a bad actor, it can still fail us purely due to its inherent functional flaws. This scenario highlights it perfectly.
Go ahead and lay it out for us.
A security operations center uses a large language model to summarize threat intelligence reports. Analysts notice the model occasionally invents threat actors and attributes real attacks to these fabricated groups. Which of the following architectural patterns is most effective at reducing this specific behavior?
And the options.
Options are A, generative adversarial networks, B, reinforcement learning from human feedback, C, federated learning, and D, retrieval augmented generation.
The answer is D, retrieval augmented generation, which is often abbreviated as RGE. The text explains that RGE forces the model to retrieve real information from external verified sources instead of just guessing based on its internal weights. By forcing it to pull actual data, it significantly reduces those errors or made-up outputs, like the fake threat actors mentioned in the prompt.
I compare RGE to taking an open book test. Instead of the AI trying to remember the answer from its vast training and accidentally making something up because it's confused, is forced to actually look up the cold, hard facts in the provided text before it formulates an answer.
That is exactly how the architecture functions. And that specific mechanism of retrieving external facts to stop hallucinations is why A, B, and C are incorrect. Those are entirely different architectural patterns that simply do not address the issue of an LLM inventing facts by forcing it to reference external sources.
That brings us to our final piece of the puzzle. What if the model isn't hallucinating? What if it is actually too good? A newly developed malware detection model performs with exceptionally high accuracy on the specific dataset used during its creation, but fails to identify novel or slightly modified malware strains in a live production environment.
Let's hear the options for what causes this.
Which of the following describes the root cause of this failure? Is it A, overfitting, B, underfitting, C, data normalization, or D, feature extraction?
The correct answer here is A, overfitting. According to the source material, overfitting happens when a model learns the training data too specifically. Because it memorizes the quirks of the training data, it loses the ability to generalize and handle new, unseen data.
Oh, so in this scenario, the malware model works incredibly well on the old data it was trained on, but it completely fails on new or slightly changed malware in the real world.
Precisely.
It is deeply ironic. The model fails in the real world because it was too perfect during its training phase.
Yeah.
It just memorized the answers to the test instead of actually learning the underlying concepts of what makes malware dangerous.
Exactly. It lacks adaptability. And this specific phenomenon of overlearning the training set to the detriment of novel data is the textbook definition of overfitting. That confirms that options B, C, and D are incorrect, as they do not describe this failure to adapt.
Thank you all for listening to this deep dive. See you in the next one.